This video is on writing and graphing linear equations in point-slope form. Another form of an equation of a line is called point-slope form. It is y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1, where m is the slope and x1, y1 is a point on the line. So for example, in the equation, y minus 3 equals 3/4 times the quantity x plus 1. The slope is 3/4, because that's the number in front of the parentheses here, and a point on the line is -1, 3. Notice that this looks like a positive 1 and this looks like a -3. But notice that the formula uses subtraction here. So y minus 3, so your y1 is going to be 3. But here I could think of this x plus 1 as being x minus a -1, because you know the formula has a minus in it, so it's x minus a -1. Let's take a look at a couple examples here. First one says, write an equation of the line in point-slope form that has a slope of -1/2 and passes through the point 5, -2. So my formula, or the form of the line, is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, and -1/2 is my slope, and x1 is 5, and y1 is -2. So I can just plug those in. So y minus y1 is -2, y minus a -2 equals the slope, -1/2 times x minus 5. I can clean that up by making the y minus -2 a y plus 2 equals -1/2 times x, in parentheses, x minus 5. Now, sometimes people want to go ahead and anytime you see a number outside the parentheses, they want to go ahead and distribute, but don't do that here. We leave it written in this form so that I can look at it and quickly identify that my slope is -1/2 and a point on the line is 5, -2. I don't want that distributed because I would lose that. Now to go ahead and graph this, I'm not going to start with my y-intercept. I'm going to start with the point that I have. I know that a point on the line is 5, -2. And I know that my slope is a -1/2, which means that I can move down 1 and right 2, or up 1 and left 2. And I can draw my line to connect those points, and that's how you would go ahead and graph it. Next example says, write an equation of a line in point-slope form that passes through the points -6, 4 and -2, 9. So the first thing I need to do is I would like to figure out what my slope is, and I can do that. So I'm going to do my slope equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and that gives me a slope of 5/4. Now I need a point. But actually I have 2 points, which means that there are actually 2 possible answers to this one, 2 different ways I can do it. So remember, it's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And if I use my first point, I would have y minus 4 equals my slope of 5/4 times x minus a -6 is going to give me +6. If I use my second line, my second point, y minus 9 equals 5/4 times x minus a -2, or x plus 2. So for this one, there are actually 2 possible answers. And you can show that these are the same line if you went ahead and distributed and rewrote this in slope-intercept form. You'd see they have exactly the same slope, which is obvious here, but they would also have exactly the same y-intercept. So here are some practice problems I'd like you to try. So I'd like you to stop the video and do these 4 problems in your math journal, and I'll come back in a few minutes and show you how to do them. Okay, so the first one here says, in the equation y plus 5 equals -9/2 times the quantity x minus 2, identify the slope and a point on the line. So this is written in point-slope form, so I can just look at it and say the slope is the number that's right here in front of the parentheses, -9/2, and my point is going to be x minus x1, so x1 is 2, and this is y minus y1, and that's the same as y minus a negative 5, so the point on the line is going to be negative 5. So my slope is negative 9 over 2, and the point on the line is 2, negative 5. The second one says, write an equation of the line and point slope form that has a slope of 7/3 and passes through the point negative 4, negative 3. So this is my m, this is my x1, this is my y1. So I can write that as y minus a negative 3, which is a plus 3, equals 7/3. There's my slope, times x minus x1 minus a negative 4 is plus 4. So there's the equation of the line that has that slope and goes through that point. The third one says, write an equation of the line and point slope form that passes through the points 8, negative 2 and negative 7, 5. First thing I need to do is find my slope. So I'll do 5 minus a negative 2 over negative 7 minus 8. And that gives me 7 over negative 15. And now I can use either one of those points to write my equation. I'll use the first one here. So y minus a negative 2 equals negative 7/15 times x minus 8. Or, using the second point, y minus 5 is equal to the same slope, negative 7 over 15, times x minus a negative 7 or plus 7. And either one of those is an acceptable answer. And my last example here says graph the equation y minus 3 equals 2/5 times the quantity x plus 4. So looking at this, I can tell that my slope is 2/5 and that a point on the line is going to be negative 4, 3. Remember, this here is the same as x minus a negative 4. So my x1 is negative 4. So I'm going to start with that point, negative 4, 3. And then I'm going to use my slope to move from that point. So a slope of 2/5 means I move up 2 and right 5, or I could move down 2 and left 5, and then connect those points. So in this video, we took a look at writing and graphing linear equations that are written in point-slope form.